Assalamualaikum and greetings to everyone. We are from Group 5. We would like to present an article review titled Prohibited Transaction in Muamalah, Maisir and Gharar, written by Ibn Hamzah Mushdar and published in the Ashukriyah Journal in 2017. This article discusses two major elements that are prohibited in Islamic commercial transactions: Maisir, which refers to gambling, and Gharar, which refers to uncertainty or speculative risk. However, in this presentation, our group will focus specifically on Gharar. This article outlines three main objectives. First, to analyze Maisir and Gharar as prohibited elements in Islamic transactions. Second, to explain the Islamic legal reasons behind their prohibition, supported by Quranic verses and hadith. Third, to highlight how both elements appear in traditional and modern commercial practices, especially in banking, insurance and the stock market. Now let's go through a summary of the article reviewed by our group. This slide explains the concept of gharar in Islamic finance. Linguistically, gharar means risk, deceptions or uncertainty. From the fiqh perspective, it refers to uncertainty in contracts, especially when the outcome, price or object of the sale is not clearly known. According to Islamic scholars, gharar is prohibited because it can cause disputes and injustice in transactions. Some scholars classify it as gharar fahish, excessive, and gharar yasir, minor, depending on the level of uncertainty involved. In modern financial system, gharar still exists. We can see it in banking, particularly in risky or interest-based transaction. Insurance, where there is ambiguity in claims and payouts, and in the stock market, such as speculative trading and short selling.
The critique of this article. First, let's talk about script of this article. This article provides a complete and comprehensive definition of gharar, including views from various Islamic schools of thought such as Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali. Second, the article also includes evidence from Al-Quran and Hadith, as well as scholar opinions supporting the prohibitions against gharar. Third, the article discusses application of the gharar concept in modern contexts such as banking system, insurance, and stock. That means gharar in banking is seen in surging interest in every transactions, whether loan and savings. Gharar occur in insurance when the two parties do not know what will occur or when the disaster will occur. Like with there is gharar in most stock transactions. Now let's talk about weaknesses of this article. The article is not critical and lack any critical analysis or through comparisons. That means it's only explain gharar based on the differing view of different scholars, but does not contrast their difference. Second, it's only refer to the classical theory and textual contents without showing real life example. Lastly, nothing in it mention any practical recommendation or mention the reduced gharar in current financial transactions. It merely proclaimed the prohibitions of gharar without uttering any feasible policy or policy of managing Gharar in the modern financial systems. For the agreement presented in this article are arranged appropriately and infer from sound sources, but the soundness of the agreement solely really upon textual sources in absence of complementarity by real example, like Quran versions, hadith, and scholarly opinion alone acquit in this article. It's not instant from the worldly life of provisions of Gharar in banking, stock, and insurance mentioned. It is still on the classical theory level. For the specific alternative, first, no reference is made to the view of the modern scholar who are more liberal with Gharar in contemporary financial works. It's only talk about the traditional scholar like Imam al-Jurjani, Waba al-Zuhaili, and Imam Nawawi, which only traditional knowledge on Gharar in classical context. It does not place the name with contemporary scholar like Yusuf al-Qaradawi or Wahbah Zuhaili during contemporary times. It means the article doesn't not talk about new idea and even more liberal knowledge from contemporary school on Gharar nowadays. Second, there is no reference to Gharar al-Shura, Gharar Yasir, which is lawful under certain conditions. That means the article does refer to major Gharar Fashi, which is illegal and minor Gharar Yasir, which is prudent. Next is relevance and implications. The relevance is this article has a great relation with the topic of the course that discusses contract, akad muamalah, and the prohibitions regarding factors that bring about invalidity of them. Second, it enforces students' understanding of the concept of Gharar, which is a basic pillar for determining the validity of the transaction according to Sharia. For example, the question like what is Gharar, why is it making a contract invalid, and how to check if a transaction is valid are addressed within the article and help learner comprehend the concept better. For the implication, first it helps identify elements of Gharar in current financial systems such as stock, insurance, and banking. The article teaches a basic of the Gharar prohibitions, enable reader to recognize Gharar in any form of modern financial transactions. Lastly, it enhances Islamic finance during industry professionals to become more conscious about making more conscious while drafting financial contracts. For the suggestion of this article, first, research into the contemporary approaches adopted in assessing Gharar in electronic context. Lastly, for the studies on the line of the demarcation between minor Gharar Yarsi and the gift Gharar Fashi, Gharar in modern day transactions.
In conclusion, Islamic finance is gaining more and more attention along with the rapid development of the Islamic finance industry, especially Islamic banking as an alternative to conventional banking. As a rule-based system, Islamic financial transactions must be free from three main prohibited elements, namely riba, interest, gharar, uncertainty, and maisir, gambling, as emphasized by Islamic texts and the practice of Prophet Muhammad SAW. These prohibitions are not only intended to avoid injustice but also to prevent negative social and economic impact such as inflation, employment instability, and pollution. Further research can be conducted to see the relationship between this prohibition and financial stability for fair distribution of wealth and real economic activity.